What's going on, everyone? So let's talk about Lauri Markkanen, because reports are that the Utah Jazz kind of are looking to maybe contend sooner rather than later, that they kind of want to start heading in the right direction, right? They've kind of been all over the place. They haven't really had this clear path. They try to do the tanking route. They keep missing and coming up short as far as like getting the top guy, right? They were hoping to land the Cooper Flag race. I mean, talk about a team that literally sat their entire starters for like weeks at a time. Like literally, like multiple games at a time, sat all of them, right? Which is kind of hard to judge some of these guys on their production and games played and all that stuff, because, I mean, you can make an argument Utah blatantly tanked more than any team in basketball, and it's wild. And they were a team that actually has had some good runs and has had some good stretches, and it's like, man, if you just kind of molded that team and put it in the right position, you might be able to be a play-in team or a playoff team and kind of take some strides. So there's a lot of talks about them potentially going that route, which in that case, they're probably not going to trade Lauri Markkanen. I imagine that they'd keep him and kind of do that. But there's also a lot of talks about them kind of heading in that, like, hey, we want to compete and be a real team route, but we want to kind of, clear the deck a little bit in order to get to that point. So trade a Lauri Markkanen, trade a John Collins, trade, some of these guys, keep the young guys, start really kind of putting in pieces. Because there are a lot of questions about Lauri Markkanen as like your player, right? Are the Utah Jazz a star away on top of Lauri Markkanen from being a top team? Probably not, right? Lauri Markkanen, I don't think is your best player, one. And I don't really think he's your second best player. Now, if he's like your third or fourth best player, now I think you're talking. Now I think you're cooking, right? My problem with Lauri Markkanen is his contract. His contract is rather insane, right? I mean, you're talking about a guy that is making $40+ million a year. It would take a lot to go and acquire him. And I don't think he's necessary. Like, is he the guy slotted alongside Luka that you're winning championships with? Now, I would say this. I would rather have Lauri Markkanen than Kristaps Porzingis, who a lot of people throw out. And it's not that I think Lauri Markkanen is better than Kristaps Porzingis. I actually think Kristaps Porzingis is better, and he's the better rim protector, and he's the better, just defender. But Lauri Markkanen is also healthier, not by like a huge margin, but healthier. And like Kristaps Porzingis, I mean, the guy can't stay healthy to save his life, right? But Kristaps Porzingis is on a cheap deal and an expiring deal, so there is some argument to be had there. But I wouldn't hate getting, like, if you could essentially get Lauri Markkanen without having to sell the farm, right? Like if you could like if Utah's like, hey, we just kind of want to clear the deck here a little bit, right? Then I wouldn't hate going and getting Lauri Markkanen. Now, me personally, obviously, big Walker Kessler guy. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, right? But how realistic is that? If you can get him, obviously, you go do that. But I actually really like the idea of John Collins, right? Give you that athleticism, give you that versatile, switchable defender, and give you a guy that could be that 3-and-D guy. I think John Collins would be fantastic on this Lakers team, especially alongside Luka. You can run him as a small ball center. You can have him be that lob threat and be in the dunker spot and play the 4. Right? I just think he's incredibly versatile. But I digress. Point is that Lauri Markkanen, I wouldn't hate as like your fourth option, right? Or third option, right? Like I would probably trade Austin Reeves at that point, because Luka, LeBron, Austin Reeves, and Lauri Markkanen as like your 4 guys, you're probably one of the worst defensive teams in all of basketball. But offensively, you'd be ridiculous, right? You'd probably be the best offensive team in all of basketball. So can you like outscore teams enough in order to not have to worry about the defense? I mean, you'd need like an insanely, if you could get Kessler in the deal too, then maybe there's a little more argument, because he's like, the best rim protector in all of basketball outside of Victor Wembanyama. He's best defensive center in all of basketball outside of Victor Wembanyama. So, maybe there's something like that. So it's like, okay, well, at least you have that, and then you have some like insane size. But there's also questions with Lauri Markkanen as far as like, where do you slot him? Right? Because he's not good enough as a rim protector. He's not really a center. He's the size and height of a center, and you could probably play him in spots at center, like if you're running a small ball, but he's not really a center, right? Like, he's more of a power forward than he is a center. Floor stretching, big man, right? but also like he can slot in and play the 3. So like his versatility is great as a guy that can play 3 through 5. And you've seen Utah play him 3 through 5. You've seen multiple teams play him at the 3. But like I don't think that that's ideal for the Lakers, particularly on the defensive side of things, right? Where if you didn't have LeBron, I think Lauri Markkanen makes some more sense. If you had another star, right? Like if you had, Anthony Edwards speaking into existence, future Laker, right? Like if you had Anthony Edwards and then Lauri Markkanen is like that off-ball catch-and-shoot guy that, go get you 20 a night and rebound and do all that stuff, right? Like, sure. If you had like, he could play like the Michael Porter Jr. role. Perfect. Okay, sure. Right? But the problem is like, at this stage of LeBron's career, you're not sliding him to the 3. So, is that a little clunky fit, right? Like, I think I would honestly probably rather have Lauri Markkanen defensively at the 3 than Rui, but like, again, what do you have to pony up? And is it that much better than Rui and what Rui gives you, especially towards like the back end of the season, towards the tail end of the season, and particularly the playoffs? Rui was actually much better defensively, and he was really good offensively. So if he can kind of continue to take some strides, I think that there's more argument. I still don't like him as your 3, but still think that there's an argument to just kind of keep him around than going and paying Lauri Markkanen $46 million a year. Literally, he's making $46.3 million, $46 million, $49, almost $50 million, and then $53 million his last year. And he's just getting into that new contract. So again, you're talking about a guy that is going to get paid and get paid a lot. So again, are you really going to pony up $40 million, right? Like you're not trading Reeves in that deal. I don't think the Lakers would trade Reeves in that deal. Right now, if you were to turn Austin Reeves into like multiple depth pieces and like particularly defensive pieces, then sure. Right? I think that makes some more sense because now you have Lauri Markkanen as like your off-ball guy who could still go get you 20 a night, right? Rebound, block shots, right? It gives you that versatility, like I said, as far as lineups and rotations and whatnot. And then if you go get those two, like if you get that defensive center and, like if you could turn Austin Reeves into like Daniel Gafford and Max Christie, right? And go get a Lauri Markkanen and go, Luka, Max Christie, Lauri Markkanen, LeBron James, and Daniel Gafford. Then now we're talking, right? Like now you got Lauri Markkanen. He's your 3rd guy, which is what I think he is best at as in that role. Still don't like him as a $40+ million guy, but he's a guy that, slots in better at that, could be that legit, 3-point shooter that you could slot in. Again, 3 through 5 for you. Right? Give you some extra size, give you some more size. You can kind of run on the defensive side of things, kind of have LeBron kind of play in the scout role if you want to, right? Have Lauri Markkanen as like the help defender and then, have like a Daniel Gafford as like your shot blocker. And then you got that like athletic point of attack, versatile defensive guy. Sure, maybe now we're talking at that point, but I'd rather instead of going and getting Lauri Markkanen, I'd probably rather go get just versatile young athletes, right? Like even if they're not great shooting the basketball, just like guys that can push the pace and defend and be relentless. I mean, you look at the Indiana Pacers, you look at the Oklahoma City Thunder, and it's just like, what's the commonality? They have a bunch of just young athletes that can push the pace, be relentless, defend, switch, and just play, give you that effort for 48 minutes. Right? It's like one of the Lakers' biggest issues is just the lack of effort, right? Like, and that's been a big problem for the Lakers. So to me, I look at Lauri Markkanen, and yes, I would love to have him, but it would have to be like a blowaway price for me personally. I'm sure there's many of you that feel otherwise. I know a lot of people really want Lauri Markkanen, and now with the reports of kind of the direction that Utah's maybe potentially looking to do, Danny Ainge brought in his son, who, he's a big development guy and scout guy and whatnot, right? So he's more likely not going to be at the helm kind of restructuring this team. And so that's where the talk of like, hey, Lauri Markkanen may end up being available via trade because they want to kind of get out of that contract. If you're the Lakers and you can essentially get out of that contract. Now, look, if you could get Walker Kessler, I would take on Lauri Markkanen to get Walker Kessler in a heartbeat, right? Like, if you had to give up your picks and do all that other stuff and get Lauri Markkanen and Walker Kessler, perfect. Which they're going to have to start paying Walker Kessler pretty soon. So, is that something that the Lakers could do? I'd pretty much take on whatever you had to go get Walker Kessler personally. But that's just me personally. But if you, like I said, if you were essentially getting Lauri Markkanen for expiring contracts and, a pick swap, sure. Right? Like if you were trading, say, Rui, Gabe Vincent, Maxi Kleba, was that 18s, 29, that's 40, right? And then Shake Milton, right? Boom. Doing that and getting a Lauri Markkanen. Maybe you're throwing in a Dalton Connect and getting a Walker Kessler. If you could do something like that, beautiful, chef kiss. Let's sign me up for that. But if you're just doing Lauri Markkanen straight up, then if you're doing like just expiring contracts and then like a pick swap, might be kind of hard to turn that down, right? Kind of be like a good problem to have. Again, I still don't like the contract, but again, I do think that it's a good problem to have. But we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? Love to hear it either way. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.